So Layne and I just got done doing a nice heavy workout, Powerhouse Gym, Tampa. They were nice enough to let me in and Billy film. So we had a power upper body workout, which is the first time I've ever done that with Layne. Billy was filming me a few weeks ago doing some hypertrophy workouts, so it's nice to get the other side of the spectrum. Layne taught me the power hypertrophy split a few years ago when I first did a contest prep with him. And it took my body probably 3 or 4 weeks to adjust to it, but once it did, the gains started coming. And when my diet was on and the training was on, I really made some growth.
Yeah, a lot of people think that there's a mantra out there that you can't train a body part more than once a week. You overtrain it, blah blah blah. Because people, when they try training twice a week, like if they've been used to working out once a week, the first time they try it, they're sore and they're tired and they feel run down the first couple weeks and they say, oh, I'm overtrained, and they stop. When the reality is, if you push through that, just kind of get your body adapted to it, after 3 or 4 weeks, you really don't get that sore anymore, and you start recovering a lot faster. And you probably noticed that. And probably those first 3 or 4 weeks, it was like really difficult. You probably were like a little mentally beat down. You didn't feel like training as much. After you push through that initial kind of block, your gains really start skyrocketing because you get so much stronger. Because training once a week, or a lot of the routines out there, like HIIT, high intensity training, the only way you can really make gains is to get stronger, because you're not mitigating any of the variables. You're not mitigating volume or tempo or any of those sorts of things. And at first that works because you get stronger at first when you first start lifting, but over time, you can only get so much stronger, until you reach, your gains become asymptotic, and you're not getting that much stronger anymore. It happens. It's a genetic ceiling. And so, to really keep growth going, you have to have some kind of, you have to be willing to look at other variables like volume and frequency and tempo and those sorts of things, and start adjusting those. So I think a lot of people, like, when they first start training, they try twice a week or 2 times a week, and again, they have those, they get sore, or they feel like soreness is what indicates recovery, when actually it really doesn't. And so they stop trying that type of training. They start getting gains off once a week, because they're in a phase where they can get stronger so much faster because they're just beginning training, and they get stuck on that kind of training because that's what gets stuck in their head from the beginning. So, because I was that way too. When I first started, or when 4 years into it, into bodybuilding, 4 or 5 years into it, my legs were a weak point. A lot of people know that my legs were they were a weakness for me, and I would kill my legs every leg day, once a week. I would go in and everybody's like, "Oh, you're overtraining." I'm like, no, I'm training once a week. I'm going, I'm killing them. Hitting them as hard as I barely walk out of the gym. I gotta drag myself out. I'm working so much harder than those guys. Why am I not getting any gains? My legs were 22 inches in my first contest. What I mean? It was pathetic. But it was really disheartening because I was working really hard at it. It wasn't like I wasn't working hard. And I had a friend who was like, "Why don't you try working out twice a week?" No way, man. Now I'll overtrain. So he's like, "Well, it's been working so well for you so far." I was like, "Well, you kind of got a point." So, lo and behold, I started training everything twice a week, and man, it took. You look at what my physique looked like in 2002, and then you look at it in 2004, and there was a difference between a boy and looking like a man.
Right.
And then in 2006, when I won my pro card, again, there was a big jump in my physique. And then now, this year, 2010, I feel like, I'm excited because I feel like it's the first time I'm going to step on stage and my legs aren't going to be a glaring weak point for me.
Right.
Pull! Let's go! Come on. Finish.
So, the power hypertrophy training really, it's a fancy way of describing kind of dual undulating periodization training, nonlinear periodization training, which has been shown over time to be one of the more effective forms of training, because you're mitigating different variables, different rep schemes, and different volume.
And you're talking about the nonlinear periodization during your power days for the most part.
Right. Well, basically, you're using your power days. You're going lower reps, heavier, lower volume. Really trying to induce that myofibrillar. Breaking down the muscle, really inducing that myofibrillar growth. And then the volume days, the hypertrophy days, using a lot more volume, quicker tempo, more like a typical bodybuilding
Yeah.
routine, and you're getting a lot of the growth that's associated with sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, volume, cell volume hypertrophy, which, I mean, both are important. And you'll hear people say, one school of thought will say, well, you only need to do low reps because you stimulate all the muscle fibers that way, and it really tears down the muscle, and you get a lot of growth that way.
Right.
And you hear other people say, well, I only train 15 to 20 reps because it's really the pump that makes you grow.
Yeah.
Well, what the heck's wrong with doing both of them?
Exactly.
And using all rep schemes, and then you're getting the benefits of everything. And so, you can. Some people do it. Some people ask me, can I do it where I do heavy and light in the same day? And you can do it like that. But I just kind of prefer having a power day and then a hypertrophy day, because mentally you can change how your approach is to the workout every time you go in. When you go in for for power day, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going in, I'm getting amped up, I'm ready to go. And then for hypertrophy day, I'm still amped up, but it's more like a quick paced, just bang through it.
Less rest.
Exactly.
Muscle.
So I think it's really a lot of, if you search power hypertrophy training now on Google, you get thousands of results. People have been using it. This isn't anything I've tried to sell to people. I do. I put together routines for people online, and and I get paid for that. But it's not something where I try to sell the book or like that. But people have really gotten a lot of results off of it, because it's just such of a different way of training from normal, typical bodybuilding dogma.
And the other thing I found is it's highly adaptable. You don't have to do it any certain way. You don't have to do a 7-day routine. You can do an 8-day routine, a 9-day routine. You can do a 4-day routine. You can adapt it to what suits your needs or your body type.
Exactly.
I've been doing powerlifting for the last 6 months, and I've been using it as a powerlifting platform for myself.
Yep, sure. You just change up your exercises a little bit. You can start doing some more like good mornings and typical powerlifting movements and sort of. And by the same token, I take people and I have routines with more almost pure hypertrophy orientated workouts, but I still implement some of the aspects of power hypertrophy. So it's like you said, it's a very adaptable routine. People will ask, well, what do I do when I plateau on it? Well, the way it's set up, you really can always change something, so you really shouldn't plateau. You can, eventually you're going to plateau because you will, start getting closer to your genetic limit. But, other than that, it's very adaptable, and you're going to continue to progress, because if you change variables and you do different things, it can make a difference every time.